What's going on? It's another day, just trying to live my life. And today I wanted to discuss porn, and let's talk about how it's just ruining the masculinity in men all over the world, and how, as men, we need to do better. We need to stay away from it because, it's gotten to a point where it's even gotten toxic. It makes us toxic. And the more and more we do it, the more and more we consume, the unhealthier it makes us. And we don't even realize it because we're so used to it because we've been doing it for so long. It's like a coping mechanism. Like the more and more you do it, you're in a happy mood, you go to porn. You're in a sad mood, you go to porn. You're in a okay mood, you go to porn. No matter what it is, it's always there, and the temptation never leaves. And you need to stay away from that temptation because I realize, with semen retention, the more mental clarity you get, the more and more you don't do it. It's all, I didn't realize like how much little self-control I really had. I didn't really have a lot of self-control, and, it's addicting, porn, all the girls, all shapes and sizes, new flavor week, every freaking day, there's something new, and there's so many options. You got to think, how is that good for men? Like, you got to think, it just makes us have unrealistic expectations. It makes us just become dependent on porn, and it's not healthy because there are so much healthier ways to live. And I was a former addict myself, and I realized how much more patience I have. Before, watching porn so many times, I had a short patience, and I didn't even realize it was linked to porn. So somebody coming at me, this last thing I'm trying to hear about it, so I was confrontational. And even the industry, it's gotten toxic. A lot of times these guys, they think they're talking to girls, a site like OnlyFans, but the whole time they type into a dude. And, who knows a man's brain better than another guy. So it's pretty easy to manipulate other men. And, I thought I had some shit I had to hide. I had some like kinks I was into that I was insecure of. Like, for example, I was into cuckold porn, and I was insecure about that for the longest time, but, once I realized that these dudes, they on a whole other level, like they really have some other shit to hide, that it made me feel a lot better about myself. And, a lot of times these guys, they're just doing shit on the go, and they're just experimenting, but it's just making it worse when you think about it because they are just constantly doing it. And, even gets to the point where these guys, they can't just nut to regular stuff. They have to like go riskier and riskier. And it's just crazy. Like the industry, like I've seen some stuff that I wish I didn't see. Like it was traumatizing in a way, but it definitely opened my eyes and made me realize, like, damn, like, men need help. I needed help. I needed to stay away from it. And we need to make a community and help one another and bring us up, because I feel there are so many benefits to semen retention. It's literally a cheat code, and it makes you, ultimately a better person. I've got humbled down on a whole other level, and, I gotta, say that I came a long way, because I'm going to be honest, porn, that was the one thing that I didn't know how I would stop. It had full control over my life, and I honestly did not know how to stop. And there's so many men like me who are in the same experience, same situation, and they really don't know any other way. That's, for a lot of us men, that's like the only way we know. Like all through my adulthood, that's one of the ways where in my head I thought was giving myself a reward, but it wasn't giving myself a reward because it was doing so much damage to me. And not only was it doing damage to me, but it was also hurting my relationship in a number of ways. And I definitely seen when I actually stopped watching, and the benefits to staying off of porn and stuff like that. And like I said, I was involved in the industry, and I want to do something good out there. And like I said, we need to make a community. We need men out there to inspire other men, because I know I didn't have anybody to learn from, to be inspired by, to stop watching porn. If anything, I feel like it's motivated. You want to just get all the girls, you want to get all the money, and, you put your eyes on that. But there's more to life than just that, and there's nothing wrong with just being faithful and being with one person and stuff like that. You don't need all these unlimited options of fucking girls on porno, social media. That's a whole other thing. Social media, that's like your softcore porn. Like whenever you outside of your home, whatever, you go on Instagram or whatever, watching like the girls and stuff like that, and that right there is creating more unrealistic expectations. Not only that, it's messing up women too, because it's making them feel, insecure, and making them feel like they need to compete when they really do not. But I know there are men out there who can change, because I feel like if I can change, then anybody can change. And like I said, I just want to help those out there who really need help. And if you like the message, if you like the vibe, please leave a comment, please subscribe, leave a like, and then we can keep this conversation going. So I'll see y'all next time. Salute.